What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is week 16 of my NFL power rankings. It's late because I'm kind of an idiot and forgot to do it. So we're doing it now, and yeah, sorry it's late, and we'll hop right into the video. Alright, and at number 10, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. They're making their way back onto the list after beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, they've won a couple in a row. You know, they beat the Eagles last week. And before that, they beat the Raiders by a lot, but I mean, that's whatever. But, you know, 3 wins in a row, you know, you can't complain about that. And after that bad loss against the Jaguars, I think they started to finally figure out how to win games. They're still pretty banged up. Justin Herbert's still not looking great out there just because of his hand injury. But, you know, they're winning games, and they're still in contention for that AFC West and the potential 1 seed if they're lucky. All right, and at number 9, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Last week they were at 7, and they did win, so I will preface that because, I mean, it's weird when teams go down, even if they win. But the reality is, teams that were behind the 49ers either looked better in their wins or played a better opponent. And I think both the teams that I had under the 49ers that I'm putting above them, I think they had more quality wins. And the 49ers, I mean, they beat the Titans. And I mean, I'm not saying the game was close or anything, but the 49ers were starting to kind of let them back into the game a little bit at the end of there. But you know what? A win's a win, and, you know, they're kind of like the Chargers. Like, they're still kind of hanging around, and if they're lucky, they could win that NFC West and potentially get the number 1 seed as well. All right, and at number 8, we have the Houston Texans. They're staying exactly where they were last week. They were able to beat the Cardinals with a score of 40-20. And I was going to move them up, but I decided to just leave them here because, yes, they won. And yes, it was a good victory, kind of like the 49ers. It's just the thing is, they did kind of let the foot off the gas a little bit and let the Cardinals make it close for a minute. And, I mean, that's not a huge deal just because they still won by over 20 points. So, you know, you can't be too critical. But like I said with the 49ers, I mean, this will affect your power rankings because of just how tight everything is in the NFL right now. But like I said, a win's a win, and it was a very good win for the Texans. They put up 40 points. Their offense looked really good. Their defense, for the most part, looked good, and we'll see if they can snag that AFC South. All right, and at number 7, I'm moving up the Chicago Bears from number 9. And the Bears, they kind of did the same thing the Texans and the 49ers did, except they were in full control the entire game. And I mean, you might roll your eyes when I say this, but this was a tough game for the Bears offense. I'm not saying the Bears specifically because the Browns aren't a good team, but their defense is really good. And the fact that Caleb Williams and the Bears looked as good as they did against the Browns and didn't really let their foot off the gas at all kind of proves to me that their offense is legit, because you could argue the Browns have the best defense in the NFL, and I wouldn't roll your eyes at ya. And yeah, this was a great win for the Bears, and it puts them at number 1 in the NFC North, and we'll see if they can hang on and maybe win that NFC North. All right, and at number 6, I've got the Buffalo Bills. I'm moving them up a pretty decent amount. Last week they were at number 10. And this might be a little premature, but you know what? The Bills, they beat arguably the best team in the NFL. They beat the Patriots, and not only did they beat them on the road. The Patriots were coming off their bye week, and oh yeah, they kind of spotted them 21 points in the first quarter and a half. So the fact that they were down 21-0 on the road against a team with a 10-game win streak and still managed to win, that is really impressive. And the Bills, honestly, they scare me. As a Broncos fan, they could really do some damage in the playoffs, especially considering their kryptonite isn't going to be there for once. And yeah, they're going to be sitting at number 6, and they're only 1 game behind the Patriots for that AFC East, and we'll see who wins that division. All right, and at number 5, I got the New England Patriots. Last week they're at number 4. I was just talking about them when I was talking about the Bills. They lost to the Bills at home on their bye week, up 21 points, almost halfway into the game. So yeah, that loss definitely stings, and it does make it to where the AFC East is genuinely in play now for the Bills. So we'll see how the Patriots respond with the rest of their games. But yeah, this was a tough loss, and it's not looking as ideal as it once was for the Patriots. I mean, I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, it'd be insane if they didn't make the playoffs, but they could have clinched the AFC East. They could have clinched the playoffs with the win against the Bills, but they couldn't do it. But you know what? Every team loses games, and I mean, it just happens. It sucks, but you know, it was bound to happen at some point. And yeah, we'll see how they respond against the Ravens on Sunday night. And right now, they're at number 5. All right, moving up to number 4, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had them at number 6 last week, and it was definitely a good win for the Jags, at least offensively speaking. Defensively, it was still pretty good because they only held the Jets to 20 points. And the Jags scored 48 points. And the best player in that game by far was Trevor Lawrence. He had 5 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. By far the best game of his career. And the Jags, they have a test next week against the Denver Broncos, who are still on an 11-game winning streak and just beat one of the best teams in the NFC side in the Packers. So we'll see how the Jags play against the Broncos, and that's going to be a really good game. And we'll see also if the Jags can hang on to that AFC South, because the Texans, they're creeping up on them. But if they keep winning, then they're going to win that AFC South. All right, and at number 3, I have the Seattle Seahawks, and they won. They were at number 1 last week. And you might ask yourself, why am I dropping them? Well, they had a very concerning victory last week. They played the Colts, and if you've been watching football, you know that Phillip Rivers started that game. And Phillip Rivers almost won that game as a Colt against the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense didn't do the worst job, I guess, because I guess they kept Phillip Rivers in check for kind of. But that offense did not look very good. They won, but they had to kick 6 field goals. They couldn't score a touchdown or anything. I mean, that's a bit concerning, I'm not going to lie. But the good news is they won the game. They kept pace with the Rams, and the real test is going to be tomorrow. But I will say this, if they play anything like that against the Rams tomorrow, they will not win. So we'll see how they play tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. But yeah, it was a concerning victory, but a victory nonetheless. So I have them at number 3. All right, and at number 2, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I had them at number 3 last week, and they had a really good win. They were able to beat the Lions 41-34 in a very high-scoring game. And the Rams were actually down by 10 points at one point in this game. And it's definitely easier said than done to still win that game, especially considering how good the Lions offense is. And yeah, they're at number 2, and they got a big game tomorrow, like I just mentioned with the Seahawks. It's going to be a big game against the Seahawks, and honestly, the Rams could probably win that game just because of how iffy the Seahawks looked and how good the Rams looked. But we'll have to see tomorrow what happens in that game. But for now, the Rams are sitting at number 2. And number 1, you got the Denver Broncos. I get to finally put my favorite team at number 1. And it was a good victory. They beat the Packers 34-26. Bo Nix looked absolutely unbelievable. He had over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against a team that has a very good defense. And yes, I will address it. The Micah Parsons ACL tear, that does genuinely suck as a football fan. I mean, you never ever want to see that. The Packers, I will admit, they got very unlucky with the injury bug in that game. They lost Christian Watson in that game. And they lost, I think, Zach Thomas is his name. He's one of their offensive linemen. And yeah, it was a rough day for the Packers. And it sucks that Mike Parsons tore his ACL, because I will admit that might have played a factor into why we were able to win that game. But, you can't deny the fact that Bo Nix looked really good. Even when Micah Parsons was playing, Bo Nix still looked really good. So, yeah, I got the Denver Broncos at number 1, and they clinched playoff berth. I forgot to mention the Rams clinched a playoff berth, and the Broncos also clinched a playoff berth. And the Broncos could actually clinch the number 1 seed next week if they get really lucky. But I won't get into all the analytics for that. But, yeah, Broncos are at number 1. And there you have it. We got the list. And I will admit, this was definitely a sucky week when it came to injury luck. I mentioned Micah Parsons tore his ACL, Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL. And yeah, a bunch of other injuries too that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that part sucks. But we still got some good football ahead of us. The Broncos play the Jags 1 versus 4 on the power rankings. Rams versus Seahawks 2 through 3, 2 versus 3. It'll be fun. Texans versus Chargers play each other 8 versus 10. And yeah, obviously, there's teams that I would have liked to include, but I just couldn't because it's only 10 teams. I wanted to include the Eagles, but I figured they didn't beat a good team or anything, and they had lost 3 in a row before beating the Raiders, so I couldn't include them. I was thinking about still including the Packers, but I think that Micah Parsons ACL tear and all those other injuries that they sustained, it kind of puts them a little bit too far behind the 8 ball. So yeah, I couldn't put them. I was thinking about maybe putting the Steelers, but they didn't really beat the greatest opponent either, and they actually are on a winning streak right now because they beat the Ravens and they beat the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. But yeah, it's always complicated doing this kind of stuff just because there's teams that I feel like should be on here that just aren't because they can't and all that. But yeah, that's all for today, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know what to do, and I will see you guys tomorrow for my Week 16 NFL predictions. Peace out.